would like Mr. Ravi, please. You may, Mr. Sir, please. No, sir, please.
So we are ahead with the last session before the lunch, and we are inviting our session chair, Mala Singh, to kindly be on the stage. And we have the speakers. May I invite them? Mr. J.K. Bhosle, who is the COO of Amanora Park Town. Mr. Nirmalya Chatterjee, who is the COO and Business Director of Tekla India Private Limited. Mr. Sharan Lund, who is the AGM of Architecture and Design of Ahuja Constructions. And we also have Ritesh Surwade, who is the Regional Manager of Zydex Industries. So I am inviting all these dignitaries on the dais. Malaji, you want to add something, please?
Please welcome all the speakers on the stage. So this section is about designing affordable green cities, and I would suggest one of our speaker from Gift City. We are just changing his session from the next session, so hope you won't mind for that. So right now, I would like to introduce Mr. J.K. Bhosle, Chief Operating Officer, Almora Park Town City Corporation Limited, to come here and share his views. Thank you.
Back about. And that time when we submitted our proposal to the MOF in the Government of India, they liked our presentation, and that time only they appreciated what we are doing, what we are thinking or the conceptualizing as a green township. This is about a township. Many of you know, so I don't tell. It's not a sales seminar, so I'll just say that we're very eco-friendly and have very comprehensive infrastructure. That's our USP. This also something about government policy and promoter, Mr. Aniruddha Deshpande, who started this major exercise in a township, first in Maharashtra of this size. These are some of the guidelines for the township. The statutory guidelines should be minimum 100 acres. We are about 400 acres and above. We have to meet a lot of, we have to provide all infrastructure. This is the location. It's opposite Bagarpatta. This is how it looks. And the green patches you see here, they're actually there. Normally they are normally in the picture, but not actually, but they are actually there, where it starts as an eco-friendly township. The green master plan features we started right in the layout. You can see a lot of green fingers which go all around, and all those green fingers and greenery is actually there. There is a 25-acre central green which is the heart of the city. It's the lung of the city, of the township. These are, master plan. We took care of some of the green features, and this is what the Government of India liked, or the MOF liked. Green and civic spaces, wide roads, urban structural plans, imaging, legibility. These are the architectural words, so we will not repeat here much of explain. Very lively and attractive local places where the humans can gather, and pedestrian access, which is an eco-friendly this thing. There are pedestrians have safety, then cycle tracks separately. Huge open space, which is required by the town planning DC rules, and we maintain that open space. Highly energy conscious, we did a lot of energy saving, and there's a sustainability. We are like a virtual municipality, and operate also like a municipality, providing all infrastructure services. This is some status now. We need to build about 14,000 houses. It will be a town by itself, about 70,000 residents. So far we have built about 3,000. 2,000 are occupied, 10,000 residents are already there. The environment management plan which we submitted and actually operating consists of environment monitoring of air, water, noise, and other environmental factors, which by statutory and by our inclination also we monitor every month. We have one of the best model of solid waste management, which will come to later on when it comes. That's a very green township. That's very important in today's this thing. We have a sewage treatment plant. We recycle entire our water and reuse it for gardening and flushing. We have a lot of initiatives on environmental development, and we are always on the right side of the law, getting all the clearances. Don't do anything which is not as per the letters and spirit both. These are the examples of environment monitoring which we do: air, stack monitoring, noise monitoring, groundwater monitoring. This is one of the very important feature of our township. We have a 100% zero waste model which is operating. We do there is a picture here which is what I'll spend some time, because this is a major urban problem today everywhere, and somehow not by our efforts and some innovative things we have overcome this thing. This thing gets collected from the chute in the houses at one place and then transported to the yard, and then it is segregated, weight and dry. The weight is treated in a compost and biogas, which generates some energy, and the fertilizer, entire fertilizer used in our township. Then the rest of the thing, solid thing, remains, which is done for a recycle. The rack pickers organization takes out what is required for them, and whatever rest remains, which is somewhat inert material, we send it to the Rocem's plant at Hadapsar, which convert that into energy, waste to energy. So there is a zero waste. Absolutely, there is nothing which is not recycled and used. Of course, this is about 2,000 people, and that's the thing. But all this model we have making upscalable, and which will be operating for when the township also becomes, say, 10,000, 12,000 houses. This effort was very appreciated by CIA, and this was most innovative environmental project. It was awarded last year. This is a sewage treatment plant. I think entire water is recycled and used also, which is very important. We are working on some of the innovative ideas, like reducing the norms of water consumption from 140 liters per day to, say, 190 or 100, with the help of Minister of Science and Technology and some EU technologies from the Europe, which will create an impact on conservation of water. Some of the things which you do is use My1 technology, which is an aluminum framework, shuttering framework, which is energy efficient. It is a good also in terms of product. It is a productive as compared to normal manual steel and shuttering. It gives a good finish also, but more so it also saves drying and energy. We use a lot of IT in our township to make life easy for the individual as well as for the managing the township. The township operates township management using SCADA, which gives on a screen you get everything. We use a lot of renewable energy in terms of solar and wind power. We have developed a hybrid of solar and wind energy, And it is given to there are bungalow setups, which each bungalow is given that system, and 50% of their requirement comes from this hybrid system of solar and wind energy. Solar street plants, then hybrid plant. All our bus shelters in the city are solar powered. We do some, in the community also, some of the environmental protection efforts like desilting of Khadakwasla. There's an NGO, Green Thumb does that, and we support that effort big way, which increases the desilting, increases the capacity of the Khadakwasla dam. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Anyway, what we did was to become environment friendly, we went by municipal guidelines. There is a USAID and a PMC had done some criteria for how your can be eco-friendly, and there are criteria which are given: site planning, environmental architecture, effective building materials. We went by this criteria and worked on each of the criteria and adopted our way of working, construction technology and way of working to this criteria. And our own score was 800, and we actually went for one of our projects, Water Villa project, to the institute, USAID and STP, and they studied our model which we did for that, and they actually certified that is highly eco-friendly setup which we had done for those bungalows. We do a lot of environmental awareness programs. We have Temple of Environment in our township, because in a big township we can't have so many temples, different religions, this thing. So we decided to have an environmental temple, which is probably first of its kind and it's recognized by UNEP also. These are some of the awards, this thing we got. And we also find eco-friendliness doesn't cost, like Mr. Mantri was saying, it really doesn't cost more. There are methods of recovery in terms of this thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your initiative at your organizational level to create and establish sustainability. Now I would like to invite Mr. Nirmala Chatterjee, CEO and Business Director, Tekla India Private Limited. Please.
All right. I'm a guest speaker here, and I'm representing on the technical aspects, and I'm representing a technical company. We basically deals into engineering technology, which is related to building and constructions. So I'm going to start with, because this forum is all about grains, so I'd like to start with a couple of words that I've been searching on, because yesterday itself I was trying to do that. And these are all the words which is probably linked to all movement of the grain. But the question is that what we as a technical company or a technological company needs to understand before we step in for a grain movement, a couple of statistics, everybody has know about it, and I don't need to emphasize on the same. Maybe in the last part, which says that the greener cover reductions of 10% is increasing the 8 degrees centigrades. That's something which is very, very important. So what are we doing here? What kind of contributions we as, can I have this microphone, because this is easy for me. These are all known factors for all of us who are supporting in this green movement. But at the same time, we need to see what when say we, you, those who are involved in constructions, building and constructions, and us who are providing this as a technology software, are we doing for it? Then we found that around 39% of the energy are consumed, 72% of and the electricity are consumed directly on that. So what are the way that we need to do it? We need to probably making a proper planning and design in the building and construction industry. That's something which is first important part. And then we can move on further. But once we start doing it as a planning, the one factor which is going to be more important, which is going to be again linked with your green movement, is how we are going to reduce the wastage. Because controlling the material waste is also an important factor. Those who are into the building and constructions, the developers, they might be knowing that there are a lot of wastage materials that it is dumped on your construction site. So if you can have some kind of a mechanisms whereby you can reduce your control on the wastage, that will substantially not only help you to be a more productive, more profitable, but also it will contribute to your green movement. Well, we all know that time is also a factor linked with your money, and we also need to have some kind of mechanisms in the process whereby the time and overrun cost is also going to be combined together. So what then we can do combinedly is we believe that for any building and construction projects, planning, design, control of the material wastage, and the time overrun, in all these three factors, there is one thing is common, which you need to have a better technology to use for this. Okay, as I'm representing a technological company, so I need to make a little note of what we are. Tekla is a company which is developing software, which is into constructions technology, is into infrastructure and energy. We have been in the business for a quite long time, from 1966. And from 2011 onwards, we are now part of a bigger company called Trimble India. Trimble is also a NASDAQ listed company. We have around 21 countries presence and a $2 billion revenue company. We are all emphasizing on using the sustainable technology. From the conceptual stage that it goes through to the main actually execution of the projects. We call it as a BIM. Maybe many of you may not be heard about this term called BIM. It's a building information modeling, whereby all your building data informations are stored together. So those who have not yet heard about it, I just make a kind of a search in Wikipedia, this what is BIM is all about. And then you can see it here, that there are some highlight points. It says it's a process. It's a process whereby from your conceptual stage of your building to design, to execute, and even towards the demolitions part of it. You should have a single 3D model through which you will be able to deliver it. We also believe on the same. Our technology starts from ownership to the architectural, structural, detail, mechanical executions, entire part of it our technology covers up. And we believe that we need to eliminate the drawing part of it. There has to be coordinations based on a live communications through which every player, whether it's an architect, whether it's a mechanical engineers, whether it's a contractor, they will be able to communicate through the live model. We call it as an absolute model, when it's just, whether it's just kind of a steel structure or whether it comes to the concrete structures, doesn't matter, but it has to be an absolute 3D model. And then when you have the absolute 3D model, there are certain advantages that you are going to get, that from the same 3D model, you'll be able to get all your details, whether it is your building materials takeoff, whether it is your drawing setups, whether it is your planning, executions, all, including directly connecting to the site itself. And not only that, when it goes to the 3D model, then your deliverable aspects, for example, in this case, you are getting your entire design detailed drawing coming as a byproduct from the 3D model. You don't spend your time on creating your drawing. And then you also get your automatically output as a quantity takeoffs. These are the very important factors. This saves your cost. This saves your money. And when it goes to the concrete structures, it also needs a detailed bar bending schedule that needs to be going to the site. So you get that automatically from a 3D model. So when somebody is using a BIM-based 3D model, you get all deliverable from the 3D model directly. And you don't spend your time again and again to make any changes and all those drawing editing part of it. Quantity takeoff is very important because here itself, those who are dealing in the building and construction, they know that they have a huge problem of calculating how much concrete needs to be poured and where it needs to be started, where it needs to be end. So if you have a kind of a technology where it gives you the complete calculations from the pouring has to be started, how much the pouring concrete has to be, then you will be able to get a complete control on the project. There is a bite from our users saying that they believe on our technology's calculations part of it. Then we can also need to go further on product planning. Because when you have a project, you need to have a planning. You need to have a resource planning. So you can also do it from the same 3D model. You get all the details on the planning stage. And then if you now goes further to the construction side, because now it's all done in the design office, what will going to happen in the construction side? You need to have a layout control system whereby it is going to be connected directly from your design office. So this is the way we have an accurate modeling control system through which total stations, through that you go to the site, directly matching, making your accurate kind of erections. And that is a bi-directional. So you can have any information that's in a site, you need to change it, you will be able to get it done from your design office. So this is one example whereby one of our customers is using a job box. They're calculating the concrete pouring there. You can do it the same way, whether it's a laptop in the site or as an iPad or even an iPhone. You'll be able to get that 3D model information on your in your iPhone or an iPad and get your all details on the site. So this is one of the examples of Indian projects I'm trying to highlight here. It's a Chennai Airport projects. This has been done based on the same technology. There is one is called the TCS Chennai campus. This is a very critical and complex projects, and it is also used, and this is the 3D model, critical model that has been done. A couple of global projects, which is, I'm just trying to run through quickly. This is a very complex project, and you can see it is such a big complex project. So if you're going to depend on a 2D-based, drawing-based system, it will be very much impossible to do it. So in short, it's a planning, design, control management, and a time cost overrun. It's a one technology that can run through. And that's why we believe that's an absolute BIM model, whereby starting from your conceptual stage, it is connecting you, and it is for the owners who is making more money if you're able to plan properly and if you're able to execute it properly. It's a World Cup time, so if you can give the music, please, here. I'm just going to end up because I know that I'm standing in between your lunch time. Can you give the sound, please?
Foi importante nesse processo.
Just wanted to end it with that because out of 12, 10 stadiums was done based on our technology, and it has also been awarded that has been most environment friendly way they've done it. Okay? Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee, for such a wonderful and vibrant presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Sharan from Ahuja Construction. I think you can come on first.
Ahuja Group has been in the realty space for almost 30 years in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, and all our projects are divided into three different categories: Ahuja Star, Stella, and Galaxy. Prasadam is our flagship project in the affordable segment under the Galaxy projects. It's located in Ambarnath, one of the growing extended suburbs of Mumbai, and it's over 40 acres. I'll quickly run through the slides. I have around 60 slides to show you all, but I think everybody's waiting for lunch, so I'll quickly go through this. I'm a strong believer in process, and when we received this opportunity, we developed a lot of studies on the 40-acre township. We went through contour layouts, we went through the landscaping parcels which were available at site. On the onset, we were very clear that we wanted a green project, and it should not be just by recycled materials or renewable energy, but green by the term green in terms of number of trees that we plant and the amount of open space we leave. To develop a project starting with scrap, with the idea of individual privacy yet communal harmony, we developed the vision for this project. We went to a couple of architects and master planners to develop the idea, but none of them gave us an inclusive environment with nature. It gave us a straight block without adequate gardens and very straightforward blocks and units. We then received a scheme which kind of excited us, as it had far more ground open space and less building coverage. So we went ahead with this scheme. Of course, a scheme that we make for 4,000 families cannot be limited only to residential. So we made sure we have a school, cineplex, and other facilities like shopping, nursing homes, everything as a part of the complex. The scheme gave us more than 35% of the land area free for landscape. At this scale, on 40 acres, with 17.5 lakh square feet of land, we got 5 lakh square feet of land just for garden and greenery open, which is a huge amount of greenery that we are providing. We then divided the greenery into parts, one of them being the central portion between each building, which is the central courtyard area, which is green, and then there are public spaces which are outside. We checked the geometry of these blocks with wind circulation, light ventilation, with daylighting, so that we are accurate on our studies. We realized that if it's a 7-story block with 24 meters height, a courtyard of 28 meters would substantially not get darkened because of the height of the buildings. We had a couple of options of continuous blocks and separate blocks. We studied the wind flow analysis of each. Since the shape of this particular design allowed us to grow on an amoeboid site, we used that in different directions to stretch it through the site. The zoning plans primarily divided into school, clubhouse, RG space, residential, reserve greens. This integrates the central green areas with the communal green areas which are in the center. We then took help of the green building consultants, and we factored in a lot of water efficient. I would like to go through each point, but I think we don't have time. So sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy efficiency, materials and resources recyclable, and of course the innovation on the design process that we had carried out. This is the appearance and finish of the scheme. That was the first cut that we received. We received a lot of options of how the scheme would look, but the architects were very material heavy. A lot of material consumption means that you're not being as eco-friendly as you should be. So we had to strip the building down and consider shading and ventilation devices only, and we considered a more open environment so that the railings and all go through. So this was a scheme that was confirmed, so that it's as less material usage as possible. This is the part where most of the picture is trees. So because there's a D-shaped garden in between which uses up that area. The clubhouse is connected to that as well. We then went to the next level as to how to keep these green spaces secure and not end up that as a regular development they get used up as car parking spaces and things like that. So we developed a driveway on the outside, and on the inside we set up a lot of activities which would allow people to use the spaces rather than misuse them. The more effort we put into planning and accesses and circulation, the more efficient it would be, and it would help people to walk through the layout rather than drive through it. Walking through the layout would then create green spaces which then are interconnected and allow us to provide for the green spaces that we want to make. There's a 360 degree visibility of shared spaces, which then makes these central spaces quite controllable in terms of security. So if the kids are playing downstairs in the courtyard, you can see it from the apartments, which makes the entire development quite secure. This was a layout which just shows the green portions of the entire layout and what all we are providing within that. So this scheme effectively shows all the 5 lakh square feet that we are developing as green. There's a biopond in the corner, which we've generated specifically to rainwater harvest, the rainwater that comes in this particular location, because it's substantial. Light and climate control, I think I've already touched on this, so I'll move ahead. This is the current status of the site, which is wherever there's a tree. If you notice, there's a tree right in the center of the road, which we are not removing. So we are going to make it as a part of the divider and use it and things like that. So there are a lot of trees that we are going to conserve and not remove at all through the site. We've set up a nursery. These are just initial images that have come through to me, but they've made a complete shed which is in the process. Building construction is going on, obviously, and this is a few glossy images of the apartments. PEC, of course, is helping us guide the site on topsoil and a lot of parameters on how to actually execute it correctly. This Google Images shows the previous condition of the site, the current condition, and hopefully we're going to see a very green Google image as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharan, especially to be in time. And this project is very close to my heart, not just because of the building structures, but because of the infrastructure planning which they are doing from the planning level from the day one. Every week they have a review meeting, and they're all master planners, green consultants sit together, including architectural team, and they're doing wonderful job. Invite Mr. Ritesh, from Regional Manager from Zydex Industries.
I represent Zydex Industry, which is one of the upcoming industry into this renewable materials, renewable waterproofing, some other products and all. Basically, we are here for redefining lifespan of concrete structures. It's an illustration on available nanotechnology solutions. For providing permanent protection to concrete structures in order to produce century buildings. When we talk about century buildings, we are always fascinated with the buildings or cities in Europe, in US. The one question comes into mind, why we are not able to produce such buildings in our area? What are the limiting factors that we are not able to produce these kind of buildings in India? So we at Zydex thought on it, and we come up with some technology which can enhance the life of your structure, which aesthetically as well as structurally. Before going to it, I will just go through our core values. We believe in innovation, sustainability, and redefine sustainability. So that's what basically this green building also are into. As we said, our vision is sustainability through innovation. We don't innovate the products which are not sustainable, which cannot be recycled, or which are not affordable to we people, at the same time which is permanent. Just to share what has Zydex done earlier, what we are having the benchmark into, we are the benchmarking with the best and continuously evolving above and beyond the best. Innovate and develop the best products and practices for all our operation divisions. Our sustainability mantra is extend the life or reduce the consumption of the Earth's limiting resources. That is one of the key area which we are working at. And it's always a corporate that we may want to maintain the healthy and stress-free life cycle in Zydex. We are the first to develop technologies like nanotechnology waterproofing for concrete, stones, bricks, and all siliceous materials. Nanotechnology for waterproofing of soil, roads, geotech applications. Nanotechnology for asphalt pavements in hot, cold, and warm mixes. PVC-free water-based inks, antimicrobial sealants, that is silence in people say, and emulsified fuel efficiency improvement. We are here to talk about the silence which is now are used into buildings. I'll just go rapidly, so will not go will not suffer a lot again. So what kind of waterproofing we always look for? It should long life. It should be easy to execute, easy to apply. It should be eco-friendly and affordable. We know water is the life. At the same time, water is a great destroyer as far as the building is concerned. I think we should not go into this because it will take a lot of time. So basically what exactly water does to our building, it creates the fungus, effervescence, paint peel off, concrete aging and all. Again, structural damages because of some ASR reactions, carbonations, then again your corrosion are happening, which are covered earlier slide, which I am not able to take it through. Now, what is that we are differentiating from the conventional waterproofing company? There are so many waterproofing companies in the world, in India itself. But what Zydex differs, or what is our differentiation parameters, we can say. Basically, most of the waterproofing components are film formers. They are polymers. We are organosilane-based penetrative waterproofing components, which is Zycosil. The brand is called Zycosil. It is nano particle, which is water soluble. It makes clear water-like solution, 100% water repellency, and it's easy to apply. Now, what happens why our structure gets damaged? Basically, the water penetrates to your structure through the cracks. If after all there are some problems in the design itself, or there are some problems in the material. So all these factors comes to the formation of the cracks through which water seeps in, and it slowly reduces the strength of your structure. So what is the uniqueness of Zycosil against our regular film formers? Basically, most of the film formers are acrylics, silicones, waxes, urethane based, and their particle size is comparatively higher than what our molecule is. Zycosil is 4 to 6 nanometers only. So being nano, we are able to penetrate the densities of the dense material. So chemically, we react with your substrate, which contains silica. It forms a bond called siloxane bond, which is totally hydrophobic bond, which is the reason for water repellency. If you go on Mother Google and if you see what is the siloxane or alkyl siloxane bond, it is the strongest bond in nature, so it cannot be broken by any means. Vis-a-vis in other cases, as the film formers are there, the film formers have the limitation of they are not UV resistant, they are not abrasion resistant. At the same time, they can get wear off over a period of time. In my case, this silane molecule, Zycosil, is the permanent part of your structure. So automatically, the lifespan of your building improves. We could have got into more details, but as the time constraint is there, I will just share this classic chemical reaction if you are interested into chemicals. Basically, this SI, that is silane molecule, is available in our Zycosil. This hydroxyl group, which is available on the siliceous substrate, OH group. When silane is mixed with water and it is applied on the surface, it reacts with this siliceous substrate. So it separates out that hydroxyl group from that surface. So water will not have any affinity. That surface will not have any affinity towards water because that hydroxyl group is moved, which is highly alkaline. And now you get this SiO-Si bond, that is called siloxane bond, which I discussed. And this bond itself is responsible for the water repellency. This is a chemical. Again, there comes physics into it. Once you apply this Zycosil, it forms a stretch membrane kind of thing beneath your surface. So it gives rise to surface tension. Now you might have seen what exactly surface tension is. Any water molecule, if you pour or you drop on the surface, it forms a droplet. It won't penetrate inside because the force of cohesion is greater than the adhesion. In my case, as the droplet size is more and pore size is less, water will never penetrate. And that is what the magic is. Zycosil gives breathability to your concrete.
Just 1 minute more.
So how Zycosil can come under these green buildings? Conventional solvent-based silane siloxane mixture contains flammable, volatile organic solvents which are released into the environment. Zycosil is applied in substantially diluted form, which is the water, raising several less amount of volatile organic content, which is normally 2 gram versus 10 gram per square feet. And it meets the toughest VOC standards. These are the various comparisons. Means it's not possible to touch each and every point. So basically, we can just highlight something. The nano size of my Zycosil allows me to penetrate and be permanent. Vis-a-vis other silane siloxanes are hydrocarbons. We are using water as a solvent. The VOC contains 8 to 15 grams. We are 1.7, approximately 2. Other silane siloxanes are extremely flammable. We are non-flammable. Other silane siloxanes require protection. We don't need any protection. You can handle it with your bare hands and all. And exposure may cause serious health effects compared to other, in case of other rays. In my case, we are completely safe. So normally whatever you do with the application with your regular waterproofing, same way you can do it waterproofing.
Yeah, please conclude the...
Yes. So these are few projects which we have done all across globe. We are exporting these products through 40 different countries in the world, and we are a patented technology. We have got patent for this till 2030. So it would be impossible for anybody to replicate this. And the best part is, I will conclude, Zycosil or Zydex is the innovative company which is exporting the technology to the developed nations. That's what I can conclude like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritesh. I would say this was the most efficient session in terms of time efficiency, and I was the most stringent chairman who was chairing the session. Sorry to bear with me. So it was my, yes, sorry. Any questions from the audience? No. Oh, it's good then. So I think you learned all the skills today. So with all this thought, we would like to end this session. And before that, we leave the stage. I would like to call IC people, Connect people, to just acknowledge the speakers. Yeah. I would like to invite Mr. Abdul also from Pidilite, and also Mr. Anirban Banerjee from Panasonic India as well. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Bhosle. And Mr. Sharon.